Hello my friends, happy Tuesday. It's Jen Pittabach with By the Shore Stamping, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different for you. It's another crazy week here at By the Shore Stamping headquarters as our personal life continues to be a little whirlwind, but we are coming to the end of that this weekend. I'm taking off tomorrow, Wednesday, for our quick little trip to New Hampshire with the 4 grandkids, so wish us luck. They're 10, 8, 6, and 5, and we are headed to New Hampshire for just 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days with Nate and his parents. So hopefully with 4 adults and 4 kids, there's one for each of us, we should be good. But I figured something fun to show you, because I'm going to pack a little bit of supplies with me for this weekend, more for documenting than for actually crafting. So I thought I would share with you how I do this. I do this a lot when we go on the incentive trips because I really want to document those, and a lot of times I don't get time to get back to my creating and crafting or scrapbooking until quite some time after the adventure is over. So I sometimes like to pack little crafting kits that I can use on my travels to help me remember the important moments and the important things. So first up, I'm gonna create like a little kit to do that. And so it's usually kind of helpful to have some sort of container for your items. So I've pulled a few things that I might use as a container item for a scrapbooking little documentation kit. So let me just get this centered a little bit more. So these are just some examples. This one's a really good size. I do sometimes, if I'm traveling a long ways or in a plane and have to carry luggage, I usually like to try and grab like a box of some sort because they're a little more sturdy and things aren't going to get crushed and ruined in that. So you can see I did that here. This is just an old box that I tore the top off here. That I had, they were little bags that I used for like packaging and things like that. So this would be a good size box. You could also use, if you're not like traveling and using a suitcase, you could use just a little paper bag, kind of seal it shut. I do like to use like stuff that I can write on a Sharpie with it and say like July camping trip, or New Hampshire camping trip July 2022, and that way I know, and then wherever the location is. So for us it's going to be Ossipee, New Hampshire, so I could write that right on this box so that when I'm ready, or right on the bag when I'm ready to actually scrapbook it or store it, I'll know where that goes. So that's also another little tip, is to kind of use something that you can then like label pretty easily. So the bags are really great if you're not going anywhere where you have to travel and it might get crumpled. This would be great because I could just write on the front, and then when I get home I can tuck it right into my storage system for scrapbooking, like my supplies, my photos, all that kind of stuff can just go right all in there. So that would be good. You could just use an old paper pumpkin box too. So I turn my paper pumpkin boxes inside out for shipping and mailing, and then they're nice cardboard. I could write right on this and keep my stuff in there as well. And then here is another option to the Stampin' Up! Boxes that the kit collections come in. This would be a great option as well. And I pulled this one in particular because it actually is the notebook kit. So this would be actually a really great thing for you to grab along with you if you wanted to. It's got all your supplies in it already. You've got your little notebook, you've got some cards, some adhesive, some washi tape, some ink and stamps, little pockets, all sorts of stuff. So you could actually create the little documentation right on the go if you wanted to. Typically, because I like to do traditional scrapbooks, I'm not probably planning, although I could do a little scrapbook journal for this trip because it's only a couple of days. So you could do it this way, but I tend to just want to write everything down first, and then I'll go back and do a traditional scrapbook page when I'm done, when I'm home and back again. So that is a way to do this too. All right, so for today I'm going to, so first you want to grab your container, however you're going to contain that, and then Some other items you're going to want to pull together. So you'll want a writing utensil for journaling. And I do bring my Stampin' Write markers because you're going to see I'm going to use actual product. And so I may want to write right on the card so it's ready to go when I go to scrapbook. I'm also going to bring a regular pen as well. I usually bring a little notebook, and you can use the same notebook over and over again. This is a fresh new one that I'll probably use since it says Adventure Awaits. I think it's a perfect travel one. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of date and location and all that kind of stuff, who's with us, kind of major, like minor, like the major details of the trip, and then I'll just document each day. And I like to document in here the temperature, you know, what the weather is like, what our major highlights were. I usually like to do a favorite part of the day, things like that I can actually document each day. And then once this, you know, say I use 4 or 5, you know, pieces here, I would then just kind of do some sort of divider, and then it's ready for the next trip I go on. So I can use this same book for quite some time. And then you'll probably want to throw in some washi tape in case you have any adventures, you know, tickets, things like that you might want to use or save. You know, we sometimes get tickets, you sometimes get little tags, or, you know, little bags or something that have like the location on it, or what have you. So maybe sometimes you want to keep like a little rock or a pebble, or, you know, whatever. So I usually will take washi tape with me so that I can kind of attach that to something if I want to. Or I also bring the little clear medium envelopes, because if I do get something that's maybe small, like maybe I found some sea glass, or maybe I found you know, I don't know, I sometimes grab random things like a bag tag or something like that, then I can actually seal this up and close it up and put it into my little bucket of goodies. And then when I'm ready to scrapbook, I can decide, do I want to keep it in that cellophane bag, and I can actually attach that right into my scrapbook, or I can actually pull that out and use it on the page separately too, depending on what it is. Obviously a rock, it's probably gonna be a little bit hard. A rock I would probably just write the location and day on and put it in our rock garden out front. But if it's a ticket or something like that, I can put it in here, make sure it stays safe, and then when I get home I can decide if I want to keep it in the cello bag, because I can just peel off this backing and attach it right to my scrapbook page, which makes it like almost a flap. Or you could actually take it out and kind of scrapbook it right into the page if I wanted to. And again, if I have the washi tape, I could use some of my designer series paper and stick it right down to that and be ready to go. So depending on whether I'm going to plan to do a traditional pages or whether I'm going to do a scrapbook 6x8 album, that would kind of determine the next steps for me as well. So I know this one, these pages are only going to be probably maybe, because it's only 3 days, so it'll probably be maybe 3 or 4 pages not for each, but for the total trip. So therefore it's not enough for a whole album. So I won't do a pocket style album. I'm going to probably do just traditional pages for this to document it. So I won't cut my paper down to 3x4 and 4x6. If I was doing a pocket style page, I might cut a few pieces of this down to 3x4 and 4x6, although I still might do that, and I'll show you why in a second. But if I were, I would definitely cut some of those. I'd probably cut a bunch of them, and that way they're ready to go, and I can actually write right on them. I can decorate with washi tape, I can add tickets, I can do all of that stuff on the go, and then when I'm ready to scrapbook, I just tuck them into the pockets and we're ready to go, right? So this one, I'm actually going to grab the He's the Man collection. I'm going to grab this one for a couple of reasons. One, because we're going camping, and look at how cute this paper is, right? So I'm definitely going to use this paper as part of the documentation process. I'm not going to cut any of that up because that's probably just going to be part of the traditional page, so I want it 12 by 12. But what I am going to do is, because this one also has like that sheet of die cuts, I am going to pull out some of these little pieces here, like the little journaling ones. I'm gonna put those in my kit because I can actually write my journaling on the fly. I don't know about you, but if you guys are ever scrapbooking and you sit there, like a lot of times I'll leave the journaling for the very end because I'm not sure what to say about something. So if I'm out and about on a trip, I tend to be more inspired and more in the moment. So I might think of something really good to kind of document or journal, because I do think it's important to kind of write down the little details of our trips, right? So maybe it's that, you know, so-and-so lost his first tooth on the trip, or maybe we, you know, had a site we saw, like a famous person or something like that. And some of that stuff you may remember, but if you don't scrapbook this stuff for 3-4 years from now, you might forget those little details, right? So I like to have a few of the little cards handy for me to write on. And then like I'll also look through my paper and see if there's anything. I don't think I have any of it because I think I used it all. I probably should have stocked up on this paper again. But like, I'm gonna look for the paper that's kind of subtle with a, oh, actually I might have some, let's see, because there's a certain type that I'm looking for. We want something that's subtle and, let's see, this is the cutout pieces. I don't have it. There was a paper in this paper pack that was just the Sahara sand color and a very light texture. So I might cut that up into some pieces and use that as journaling, because I can actually journal right on that designer series paper. So if there's any paper, like this would be a good pattern to journal on too if it wasn't black, right? So if I had some like silver or metallic writing utensils, and I could do that on here. But I don't have any of the paper that's kind of suitable for writing directly on, so that won't, I mean, I could probably use some of this, like this I could probably write on with my black Stampin' Write marker. So I could take a few pieces of this and write on that. But I will kind of pull, actually look, so there's a little piece here. So I'm going to take that because that might be something I can write on. And I already have this piece. I have that piece. I have this. So I might, you know, I could take some of these little doodads that are writing oriented so that I could kind of write some other stuff. And actually, I'll probably take these too, just because they're little extras. They're still going to coordinate. It'll make all the pages the same. Like I want them to kind of be the same vibe, even though we're doing 3 probably different pages for it. So I could kind of look through here and see if there's anything else in here that I'd want. And if not, I'm probably gonna just, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take this, I'm gonna put the whole thing in here, like so, with these. And then I'll grab some dimensionals as well. We'll stick some of the little mini dimensionals in here if I have them. Here we go. We have almost a whole sheet, so I'll stick that in here. And now I can kind of make little finished journaling cards right on the road, right, with just these little supplies that I have. So that's kind of the idea, is you're just going to, you know, cut up a few pieces of paper. So you could, and I mean, I could actually cut up a few of these too, just for if I felt inspired, or if it's a rainy day, I could kind of pull together some of these little die cut elements, plop them on the page, and then I've already got existing tidbits to kind of play with when I sit down to actually do my page, right? So 3x4 and 4x6 is still a good size for you to cut some of these down to for the trip. I'm actually not going to cut this one because that's my favorite paper and I know I'm going to use that. So I'll cut, this one's a good one. I might be able to write on that back size too. So I'm going to just do 4x6 for this. Let's do this side. That side's kind of crummy. And then, what else? I have one of those already. Could do this one. And I'm going to save that one. So I'll do another 3x4 here. I'm just cutting a few little pieces that I can kind of play with and make. Let's cut this one to that. And then I have a few little pieces here that I can stick in this little kit. Oops, it's not quite, it's a little too long actually. Let's go ahead and trim these down. They're 4x6, but I'm going to use them on traditional pages, so let's just trim them down a little bit so that they'll fit in my little bag. That will fit. I'm just cutting them to 5.5. Okay, here we go. Now they'll fit right in here, and I can stick all of this stuff in here, right? So now I'll probably just stick it in the little plastic bag because, like I said, we're not packing storage or anything. But just for sake here, I'm going to go ahead and throw these in here, and that in here, my pens and my marker, my washi tape, some of these little guys, which I'm probably going to have to take out of the packaging. I don't need a lot, just a couple. If I can get them out, just in case I run into anything I want to save. So I'll put these in here. I may have to bend those over to get them in the box, depending on the size of your box. And now I have myself a little on-the-go documentation kit, and you can totally just keep this ready to go. The only thing that would change is whatever pattern papers and stuff that you're using. If you have some generic travel ones, you could use those all the time, or just even the I don't know if they still have them, but I know they used to have the just plain 3x4 graph paper kind of cards that you could write on, or lined cards that you could write on. You could use those and just write on that, and it doesn't matter what the paper or theme you're going to use afterwards. You can actually always decorate those after the fact with some pattern paper, and that's sometimes really helpful because you have the whole piece of that 3x4 cardstock to write on. And say you don't fill the whole thing, you could just cut a little strip of the paper on, put that on the bottom or something like that too. So don't feel like you have to have the patterned stuff to go along with it. I would just make sure you find some little journaling cards that you can write right on while you're inspired and while you're in the moment, so you can remember those little itty bitty moments. Let me just show you another way I've documented in the past. This is from my Thailand album that sadly is still not finished. I have a few pages done. This is from several years ago, 2017 actually. But see how I was talking about, I put sunny, humid, 87 was the temperature and the weather. I have a little box here for my favorite part of the day, and I put my favorite part of today was getting a Thai language lesson from our waitress at the Zana Beach Club. Her name was Opal. She taught us how to say thank you, hi, and how are you. And if I'm not mistaken, somewhere I have, yep, here it is. She wrote it on the back of our little receipt. So this would all be really cool things to kind of keep in that little box. And like I said, if you have it in a box, you could label it and like store it in your memory system so that everything stays together. This one I just did every day in my bullet journal. I did a different so I did the favorite part of the day, the temperature, what I got in the hospitality room, kind of a bullet point list of what we did, and then a full journaling session at the end of each day. So you don't have to do this involved. This was just a really amazing trip, and so I really wanted to make sure I got all the details down so that when I'm ready to document it, I will be ready for that too. So you could do it this way too if you want to just keep like a little book. This is actually a planning book, so it was not just for my trips, it just was my kind of all in one place thing. So here's Alaska. This was my Alaska documentation. So you can see I do it for, especially for all of the incentive trips, just because it reminds me of all the little details that I forget by the time I get home, and especially by the time I actually sit down to scrapbook any of those things. So just some little tips for you if you're heading out this summer on some travel trips. Be sure to pack yourself a little box of goodies that you can kind of document your trip, or even just a little notebook that you can include and put down all those little details, because I know that's the hardest part sometimes of scrapbooking, is knowing what to write on a page. But you're going to remember, if somebody finds this, 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, they're going to want to know like these little itty bitty minute moments of your life, because that's going to be very different most likely from what they're experiencing day to day. So it's just a little insight into history, and I think that is really kind of cool to leave your legacy and a little insight into what life was like in the 2020s, right? So definitely make this a part of your travel bag every time you go anywhere. It's just really fun even to just go back and read, because I forgot about that too, the little Thai lesson. That was my favorite part of that day. So it's really fun to kind of look back at the notes too. All right, you guys, thanks so much for following along. I will be back again next week with another video to hopefully inspire you to get crafty this summer. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button below. And if you really want to make my day, go ahead and subscribe. I will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye for now.